Hello my dear friends and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Joycey Joy and today in this lecture we will discuss about China's growth after the slowdown. We have already discussed about the slowdown of Chinese economy in a previous lecture. So if you want to know more details of the growth slowdown in China, please refer to our channel StudyIQ and please find the video Economic Slowdown in China's Economy. You can find all the details of the China's slowdown. So today in this lecture we would be discussing about China's growth after the slowdown, how the Chinese economy has revived after the slowdown in the economy, what were the measures adopted by Chinese government and what were the factors that helped China and what lessons India has to learn from China experience. So now if we look at the current affair, the Chinese economy grew at a 6.4% GDP growth rate in the first quarter of the current year, which is much faster than expected. This was because the Chinese economy was undergoing a growth slowdown and experts expected that this slowdown would continue for many years, but the economy of China picked up and the growth rate was marked at 6.4% in the first quarter of the current year. So we will see what are the factors led to the recent developments in China in detail in this lecture. But before we move on, this is our channel StudyIQ and we are providing pen drive courses for various competitive examinations including SSC and bank courses, UPSC optionals, SSC JE courses, teaching examination, railway examination, defense examination, RBI grade B, NABARD grade A, UGC NET, UPSC Civil Services Examination, CLAT exams for various state PSCs and also for various professional courses. You can visit our website www.studyiq.com for more details or you can call to any of these numbers for more information. Let us understand the recent developments in the Chinese economy. In the recent period, the Chinese economy has been slowing down. We have already discussed about the slowdown in detail, but here we will discuss in brief what were the factors that led to the slowdown in Chinese economy, what were the challenges faced by Chinese economy. So, the first factor was the trade war that was going on between China and US for many months. So the long running trade war between US and China's economies were the primary reason for the growth slowdown in Chinese economy because import exports were hugely impacted and it had impacted the trade scenario between both these countries which were hugely dependent on each other for import exports. So that was the first reason. Now, second reason was weak consumption in Chinese economy or weakening of aggregate demand in the Chinese economy. That means in domestic market or in the home market, China was losing market. They were not able to sell as many commodities as they were selling earlier. So a reduction in the aggregate demand had also led to a difficult phase in the Chinese economy. And third reason was the slowdown in the export demand. So with a global growth slowdown, the demand for imported commodities from China were also slow or low in the world. So a growth slowdown globally affected the exports from China. There was a lesser aggregate demand all over the world and this impacted the exports from China's economy. And fourth reason was the debt problems in Chinese economy. Both in private sector and in the public sector, there were debt problems in Chinese economy and these were all some of the recent developments that had resulted into the slowdown in Chinese economy. And surprisingly, China's economy is now showing the signs of a rebound or rebouncing. The rate of growth is equal to the pace registered in the December quarter and faster than the expectations. So we have seen it reached around 6.3% expansion. So it is much higher than what was expected. And the Chinese exports also reached a 5-month high in the month of March. The exports raised to 14.2% when compared to the same month last year. So we have seen there was a slow export demand which was a result of global growth slowdown, but the exports also picked up according to the data in the month of March 2019 and this growth was very high compared to the last year same period. And the China stock market also performing very well. The stock market is also showing early signs of an economic turnaround and increased liquidity. So these are some of the recent developments in Chinese economy. Now we will see what are the implications of this recent developments in Chinese economy. We have seen the latest growth figures in Chinese economy And the latest growth figures is an indication of the positive effect of Chinese government's effort in order to stimulate the economy. We have seen China had gone through a growth slowdown, and now the economy had revived only because of the efforts from the part of government to stimulate the economy. So we can say it is a result of a positive step taken by the government in order to stimulate the economy. And also the total social financing grew by almost 40% to 82 trillion yuan in the first quarter of the year. So here social financing definitely means there was a credit expansion adopted by the government. So credit expansion would mean that the interest rates were brought down. So when the interest rates becomes less, that will lead to a situation where the loans become very cheap, and therefore more people will have access to credit or loans. So when the credit expands, or when the money supply expands, there will be more investment. There will be undertaking of more production activities or outcome generating activities. Output will be more, and when output becomes increased, it leads to increase in GDP. Now the whole process is like this. When the interest rates are less, loans become cheaper. So there will be more loans availed by the households in an economy, and when more loans are taken by the households in an economy, it will lead to more money supply in the economy. So there will be more investments. More investments means more productive activities taking place in the economy, and this will generate more output in the economy, and GDP is measured in terms of output. So GDP will increase, which will lead to economic growth and development. So government's social financing policy, which led to credit expansion, had boosted the growth in the quarters. And also the trade tensions with the US subsided in the previous few months, and this led to export growth, and this also further boosted the economy. Now two things are important here. The first one is social financing. So government has already provided certain credit expansion to the economy. So the results of this credit expansion will continue for many more months now, and also the results of export growth, because the tensions between US and the Chinese economy are subsiding and it is getting settled day by day. So this can also lead to a long-term impact on the export growth potential of Chinese economy. So it is expected that in the upcoming months, the Chinese economy will pick up more than the present pace, and this will further boost the economy and will revive the economy from the slowdown it experienced a few months back. Now, what is a need for caution in Chinese economy now? The main reason for which Chinese economy should be cautious now is regarding the lending. This is because we have seen that government has adopted certain expansionary policies, and under the expansionary policies, credit expansion was made available and lesser interest rates were charged upon the credit or loan provided by the government. So definitely a decrease in the interest rate would have accelerated the quantum of credit lended by the banks in China. So now the Chinese government was encouraging the banks in order to boost lending to both the public sector as well as the private sector in order to boost the development and in order to take more and more economic activities. So this measure taken by the government was taken without implementing proper fiscal measures. Fiscal measures here means that the consumer spending needs to be boosted. Here credit expansion will lead to increase in supply or increase in output. So supply will definitely increase. But if the consumer demand, that is the aggregate demand, does not increase, what will happen? Supply will be more than demand, and therefore the prices will fall. And that is a risky situation. So now the focus of the government should be to adopt certain fiscal measures that will boost the customer or consumer spending in the economy. And if the prices fall without creating aggregate demand or adequate demand in the economy, the businesses will be at a loss. So this businesses will not be able to repay the loan that they have taken from the Chinese banks. And this will lead to a situation of a financial crisis and a liquidity crisis for the banks, and further the growth rate will come down, and this will lead to a further severe situation. So government should try to take certain fiscal measures as well to boost the consumer demand in order to cope up with the increased rates of supply and output, else the prices would be affected, and a decrease in the prices will affect the profitability of the business, and this will definitely lead to a bad debt crisis in China's economy. So this is what the government has to be cautious about and what the government needs to look into. So the focus of the government, the macroeconomic policy of the government should not focus just on the short-term benefits, but it should also consider long-term consequences and the risk. For more video updates, you can visit my Facebook page. You can follow my Facebook page. You can also write to me at joycey.studyiq@gmail.com for any of your queries or clarifications. Thank you.